Getting into Volume 8 of Rising of the Shield Hero really had a lot of surprises for me, and there were definitely a lot of things that I really absolutely loved about this volume, because one of the things I actually hadn't noted in my previous volume reviews was that I was getting a little bit concerned about what I would call the massive increase in power inflation, especially when it comes to them gaining levels. I noticed that they did mention about a second sort of ceremony for going above level 100 cap, but I always kind of had this feeling that they would get to this point where they would just go beyond 100, 150, 200, and the level increases would just be so exponential. It's why I really loved the fact that there were so many side progressions in these volumes. There were little ways that they could boost the shield, getting different types of shields, using different shields in different ways. And then, of course, I assumed that they would get more party members and level them, but also, and I was wondering if there was going to be some form of side progression for our lovely best girl, Raccoon Girl. And that was something I wondered as well, along with, of course, Philo. But it was actually quite surprising to see Riv, of course, Shield Hero and the team going into this alternative different world. It's being teleported to another alternative world while coming from an alternative world. I kind of like the sort of multi-layered to that scenario, but with them being teleported to another world, it seems to be that they've all been reset to level 1. Though the Shield Hero has been able to keep some of his bonuses when it comes to things that he's kind of unlocked in the other world itself, so some stats have been able to pass over, but now he has to re-level. The thing that really quite intriguing about this is the fact that he's gained all this progression in, of course, the world that he started off with, that he got teleported to, and then this Japanese theme world that he's gone to, he's had to start from level 1 onwards, and so he's unlocking new things. Instead of fighting balloons, he is now fighting boxes, and he's gaining all these different shields and levels and stuff in there, which is kind of refreshing and fun because, one, it gives a soft reset, so it doesn't create an exponential amount of power inflation in the story itself and just makes the numbers go bigger and bigger and bigger and makes the numbers feel meaningless and pointless. But the fact that they're re-leveling, and it adds a lot of challenges to it as well, the fact that now they're level 1 again, these monsters are more dangerous. They've got issues that they have to deal with, and being thrown in surprising situations because they are lower level definitely throws things in a bit of a head spin, a little bit of fun. But one of the things that I really love, and I only noticed it once I got mostly through the volume, was that he was able to pass on some progression from the initial world that he came from, that of course he started with, being Shield Hero, into this new Japanese themed world. But my wonder is, when he unlocks all this stuff in this Japanese world, will he be able to keep some of the bonuses from that world over back into the world that he goes back to of course help the people there, where of course our lovely Raccoon Girl comes from, and of course where Shield Hero is first being summoned to. So I'm wondering if there are other worlds beyond those two. I am wondering if he'll be able to continuously do that, but then I also think it might be a little bit repetitive if he keeps being reset to level 1. I'm just very curious, because the concept of him gaining progression in one world, being able to use some of that, not all of it, but at least let's just say hypothetically like 1/3 of that power in another world, and then he gains all these levels again and all these new shields and is able to reuse some of this stuff because he's unlocked in one world and able to slowly unlock stuff in this other world, this Japanese theme. Will he be able to port some of that over into the other world? And that just keeps adding more layers to this power progression, but in different forms. That's what I really am quite intrigued about, and of course, as the volumes go on, I'll obviously have answers to that. And of course, I don't want spoilers, it's just fun theorizing on what may or may not happen and seeing if I'm correct or not. I think that's the fun of it, because the people watching this that have possibly read volumes 9, 10, 11, etc. will be able to sit there and go, you're close, but not quite there, or they might be like, nah, way off, or some might be like, actually, you're spot on. It's the fun idea of just theorizing of what could happen and then seeing if I'm right or not, because again, it doesn't bother me if I'm right or wrong. It's the fun excitement of just wondering what could happen. And then we find out about the 4 heroes for that world, and then we find out they're not even named the same way, like bow, shield, sword, etc. You've got this hunting hero that can only fight beasts, and it's really cool. I like the concept, but seeing the hunting hero and the fact that this girl can only fight beasts but not humans is quite an interesting concept, and it kind of definitely has a lot of similarities to the Shield Hero. The fact that she knew about the Curse series as well, but the fact that she could only hunt beasts and is limited to only that if she was ever attacked by other humans, well, that would put her in a massive disadvantage. Though she could use traps and stuff to slow them down and put them in bad positions, the fact is she wouldn't be able to do anything really to them. It's very limited. So it kind of shows the amount of teamwork and the amount of sort of party building that you need to do. You know, for Shield Hero, he needs offensive people to help him because he's the defensive, he's the tank, and then he needs healers and attackers, casters, melee, etc. that can do offensive based, while you look at someone like the bow, the sword, and the spear, where they need defensive and support, backline support, except for the bow hero, he'd need frontline. It shows that different forms of parties need to be created depending on the hero itself. For the hunting hero, you would need someone that would be able to specialize in dealing with, of course, humans, or just, of course, making sure that you get people that can, of course, help in those situations, and of course having supporters that would be able to heal this particular hunter hero if something was to go wrong. There's a lot of interesting concepts that I really love, and finding out more about the vassal weapons itself, I had a feeling that Best Girl, Raccoon Girl, was going to become a vassal, but seeing her become the vassal weapon itself, I am very, very intrigued to see if the vassal weapon itself behaves in a similar manner as what the others have, where they can insert materials into these weapons, and it could be the same for her, where she could insert certain things into it and empower herself up even more. Another form of progression for her, so that instead of it just being focused on the shield hero, it could also be for her. And maybe they might go back to low-level areas, grab materials, and insert it into a weapon. I don't know if that's the case, but it did make me wonder, because you've got the fan itself, and they've got that gem in it, and of course the giant scythe. It's one thing that I'm wondering, we'll just have to wait and see. Again, please keep spoilers to a minimal. But so far, this volume was an absolute treat. It definitely had a lot of twists and turns. The fact that the shield hero got separated from the party members, he ended up meeting this hunter hero. It did slowly get a little bit annoying, just because, of course, as I'm calling her, the crying baby, she just wouldn't stop crying and complaining and being like, I'm scared, I'm worried, nah. And that, of course, is the one that came from the Bow Heroes team, her herself. Just, she did slowly get on my nerves. I kind of got to a point where I was like, I wish she wasn't in the party. Just because she gets a little bit tiresome, just the amount of time she just over-exaggerates the situation, overly gets worried. It's just a little bit tiresome. But of course, Shield Hero meets this new girl that is, of course, one of the 4 heroes for that Japanese-themed world. And of course, she is the hunting hero. And she's locked up in this maze, this kind of prison that is meant to be unescapable. And it has monsters in it. And then, of course, because Shield Hero went through that portal to go to this world, it was a trap. It was used to split them all up. And that, of course, allowed for this evil entity to push the Shield Hero into this prison. Of course, Shield Hero gets out of it. They use some clever tricks, get out of the area, and then they end up sort of trying to run from authorities and trying to sort of lay undercover, which also added some interesting things of what can work between both worlds. There's different forms of progression. The hunting hero has different ways of progressing her weapon. But of course, the shield hero has his own ways, as did the spear, the bow, etc. They all unlock different systems. It did make it interesting, and the shield hero wondered himself if he could unlock different systems that, of course, the hunting hero had. But for some reason, there was a lot of limits. But that also being said, there were some things that could be used and were more powerful in this Japanese-themed world, which was the spirit water itself. And so it makes me wonder if there is some crossover between the worlds. Some things can be used and passed over from each other's worlds, and I'm wondering what that will be in full scale. It obviously does mean that there is some stuff that can't be crossed over completely. So that's another interesting form of progression. There's just so much character progression, character leveling, different forms of gaining power that goes into this light novel. And whoever this writer is, in the sense of what they do as a hobby, makes me think they're just some hardcore gamer that has played like hundreds of thousands of games, because there are so many little systems that just remind me of other games. Like I said in some of my other videos, Path of Exiles, World of Warcraft, Diablo, a lot of the games that I play on my Switch, like Xenoblade Chronicles and all the different series and all these different ways of gaining side progression. It's just super fun, and it almost makes me wish that there was an actual proper full-fledged game of it. I know there is an actual game of it on Steam, but I want like a full-fledged one where it's like got all the same progressional systems in it. It'd just be super exciting to just see that amount of depth in character, but I think it would also be a little bit too overwhelming. But of course, they end up escaping this maze itself, which does lead into a very intriguing situation, which, of course, if you've seen the thumbnail of the video, you'll notice that there's this new character that's been introduced, which is the mini raccoon. I love it. It is adorable, but it's also kind of scary too. I mean, when Shield Hero was kind of doing some naughty things and torturing some individuals that were hurting Philo when he ended up rescuing her from some people that were trying to use her for very bad things, particularly just entertainment and hurting her, he was torturing this guy, and the others were kind of a little bit off-put by it, but the little raccoon itself, as I'm now calling it, the mini raccoon, it was enjoying it. It was just kind of like giggling a little bit, and I was like, wow. I just don't know if it's doing that because it's a fusion of the Shield Hero and, of course, Raphtalia. It does make me wonder if it's going to have some different components of their personalities. Maybe it might have the love and compassion that, of course, Raphtalia has, and then the kind of a little bit sadistic and evil side, or that little twist to it that, of course, Shield Hero has. And when I mean by that love and compassion, I mean particularly towards the Shield Hero itself. And it obviously shows that little mini raccoon has a lot of love and affection towards Shield Hero. And I think that's obvious because of where it's come from when it comes to the materials, the hair of her. And that was something that was brought up in the much more earlier stages of the volume. I do wonder if he'll end up getting that hair back again and unlocking that component of the shield that was locked due to obvious level systems itself. Maybe it's based on her progression, maybe it's based on his progression, maybe he needs more levels, maybe he needed more materials, maybe he needed a bit of blood. I don't know. It does make me wonder if there's like this special progression in there that's tied to either her level, his level, or needing some other components, maybe more hair, or, as I said before, blood. I don't know. I just think there are obviously different things that he's got to gather to be able to unlock certain things. But of course, he ends up finding her as well, which is where they end up finding out that she became a vassal weapon. And then, of course, they end up having to fight this individual that got extremely upset that she became a vassal weapon. He didn't get to become the vassal weapon. And it shows that she gains a lot of powers itself. I also love the design. This is something that I haven't said in my other volumes, but I want to note it here. The art that goes into these volumes is beautiful. I absolutely love the drawings. The artist itself really love the amount of attention to detail that goes into it, the art style, the color palettes for the characters, and the design that went into our best girl itself, where she's got this awesome looking Japanese style, I wouldn't say armor itself, but it just really suits the katana look. It really suits her look, the aesthetics, and I just absolutely loved it. It just makes Best Girl even more Best Girl because of that artistic sort of look that's gone with her. And I just like the fact that it's gone in a much more unique art style that kind of goes away from the world that she came from, and she's got her own unique look. I'm looking forward to her going back to that world and how people respond to her new outfit and the fact that now she's a vassal weapon. I do want to learn more about vassal weapons because of the fact that now that she has become a vassal weapon, now that we know about the hunting hero, I do wonder what the other three are like and where this all sort of unfolds. And I do know there's obviously some underlining bigger thing going on, these other worlds. I'm just intrigued where that goes and where this is going to sort of unfold. And also the fact that, of course, the other three, the three musketeers that were trying to kill the shield hero, they get into a lot of trouble about that. And that was quite a surprise. I didn't actually think they would get into trouble about it from, of course, the hunting hero, because the hunting hero is friends with Glass and the other two. And oh boy, is this girl not happy about the fact that they tried to kill Shield Hero. The fact that they were trying to kill the other heroes. And yeah, she scolds them really hard and says, no more of this. You're not going to the other worlds to kill the other heroes. Shield Hero is my friend. We're all getting along. And as much as they go separate ways at the end, it was good to see that they kind of did sort of mold some cracks in their friendship. And I do hope they work together more because I do like those characters. I do like Glass. As much as she was a bad girl at the start, I kind of had a feeling she would become an ally in some way, shape, or form. But I really like her aesthetics as well, the kind of look that she has and the fact that she uses a fan. And I want to see them work together more, and I want them to work together in front of the other three heroes and just see their jaw drop to the ground and be like, you're cheating again. The shenanigans and the amount of crying that will come out of those three little babies. I want to see that. I have a feeling that might happen. We'll just have to wait and see. But I think the volume was absolutely phenomenal. Compared to Volume 7 and Volume 6, particularly the end, Volume 6, as I said, was kind of a little bit weak. Volume 7 felt weak in some areas, but there were some really cool parts. Volume 8 just felt so amazing. It just felt nice. It felt fresh. It felt different. The fact that they went to this different world, they were uncovering new and mysteries going on, met some new people, met some new bad people, new trashy people, old wounds were healed, friendships were molded, and things kind of went in a much more positive direction for Shield Hero making new friends. And I liked that. I really liked the direction that this volume went. And I have a feeling that volume 9 is going to obviously build on that a little bit more as well. I'm super excited to get into volume 9 now because I've kind of been sort of binge reading these bit by bit, and I'm just loving each step of the way. There's just so much that did happen in this volume. There's a lot of little things that were uncovered, and I'm not going to dive into all of it. I might do another video later on talking about some other sort of areas, but as a review goes, I think this just shows a lot of what's gone into the growth, not just in Shield Hero, not just in Best Girl, Raccoon Girl. Philo did get a little bit of growth, not much really. But of course, Crybaby herself from the Bow team, she's getting on my nerves a little bit, but we'll see where she goes. She might do some growth. But so far as the volume goes, I absolutely loved volume 8, and I'd love to know your thoughts in the comment section down below. What did you like about this volume? Who is your favorite characters? What are your thoughts about the art style? What do you think about her aesthetics? Raccoon Girl, what do you think about her sort of new look? Do you like it? Do you not? What do you love about it? Just your thoughts and opinions are definitely welcome in the comment section down below. But if you like this video, hit the like button, subscribe for more anime content, and I'll see you, beautiful nerds, in the next video.